The United Nations Security Council has approved the much-delayed resolution on Gaza that demands to significantly boost aid to the enclave. After days of negotiations to avoid a veto, the U.S. chose to abstain. The watered-down resolution calls for speeding aid deliveries to desperate civilians in Gaza. However, it fell short of demanding a ceasefire. The resolution urges the creation of quote-unquote conditions for a sustainable cessation of hostilities, but did not call for an immediate end to fighting. The 15-member Security Council, 13 backed the resolution, while 2 abstained, along with the US. Russia also abstained, as it expressed disappointment with the change of language in the draft and pressed the need to support what was initially proposed by the UAE delegation. The initial draft had called for an urgent and sustainable cessation of hostilities to allow aid access. The US and Israel opposed a ceasefire, believing it would only benefit Hamas.
And let's be clear, Hamas has no interest in a lasting peace. Hamas is determined to repeat the horrors of October 7th over and over and over again. And that is why the United States supports Israel's right to protect its people from acts of terror.
After the vote, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called out Israel and said that the way it was conducting its military operations in Gaza is creating massive obstacles to the aid distribution.
The real problem is that the way Israel is conducting this offensive is creating massive obstacles to the distribution of humanitarian aid inside Gaza. An effective aid operation in Gaza requires security, staff who can work in safety, logistical capacity, and the resumption of commercial activity. These 4 elements do not exist.
Israel says it is willing and able to significantly increase the entry of aid trucks into Gaza. However, officials have added that the country will continue to inspect humanitarian assistance for security reasons. Hamas has meanwhile called the resolution an insufficient step for meeting Gaza's need. However, the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority has called the resolution a step in the right direction and said it would help end the aggression, as well as ensure the arrival of aid and protect the Palestinian people. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Teherani has sent us this report from New York.
For the final vote on the humanitarian resolution at the Security Council here at the United Nations on Friday, Russia had proposed an amendment to the resolution demanding the suspension of all hostilities. However, the United States vetoed that amendment. Friday's resolution was put forth by the United Arab Emirates, currently the only Arab state on the 15-member council. One main sticking point was whether or not Israel will continue to monitor the aid going into Gaza, making sure that it's humanitarian in nature. After the resolution and the vote, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations thanked the United States for standing by Israel's side, but also said that Israel will indeed continue to monitor the aid going in to Gaza. The final resolution, however, also asks the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to appoint a coordinator to verify that this aid going into Gaza is indeed humanitarian in nature, but also to consult all relevant parties. Ultimately, the United States abstained from voting on this resolution. It was not clear why, but a U.S. ambassador to the UN said that she was disappointed that the Security Council continues to not condemn Hamas for its attacks against Israel. Russia, which also abstained, of course, for a different reason, said that the resolution had been watered down to America's liking, to the point where it gives Israel, quote, the green light to commit war crimes. However, Russia's ambassador to the UN said the only reason Russia did not veto this resolution was because it had the backing of Arab states. Susan Teherani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.